Christopher Walken.
Hmm.
So to at least be dramatic with that weird voice he does.
I used to have a perfect Christopher Walken impersonation, and I lost it. Actually, now I think about it, I used to be able to do Christopher Walken perfectly, Bill Cosby, and Fez from that 70s show. And now...
That's too bad with Bill Cosby. That's a great one.
It really is. Anyone can do Bill Cosby if they try hard enough, though. And Bill Cosby can do anyone without trying hard at all.
Well, he has to try a little bit. He has to be able to slip something into their drink.
Yeah, whoops. Weird way to start this episode. Hello, everyone. This episode is called Wild and Unexplained, and the tagline for it is a Cubinet of Cariosities.
A what?
A Cubinet of Cariosities.
So it's like a witches group.
Yeah, well, Cabinet of Curiosities was taken. So, and I just love words that don't make sense that no one is literally ever going to Google. So, way to go me for making this episode pretty much unsearchable. Yeah, great news. Way to grow the show, Scott. Brilliant.
Rule 34.
Rule 34, I guess. Anyway, so we're going to get into some very strange stories. And at the end of it, the tail end of it, I found one story. Many of our listeners are going to be familiar with Christians being at a park. No. Well, you're probably familiar with that too, but Christian
burning witches at a park.
Yeah, that's our favorite pastime. You got us. Anyway, Christian story of being at a park and jumping 4 million feet in the air or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah.
And I found a story that was really similar to that. I'm like, oh, I got to share this. And then as I kept reading the comments that were attached to that, it was like one after the other, after the other, after the other of people having the exact same experience. And I was like, well, isn't that curious, or I guess in this case, curious.
When I was a kid and I'd tell other kids that story, they did it. A lot of them had experienced the same thing. I wonder if it's just something we forget about as we get older and
maybe
start adulting.
But shame on you for not getting those stories written down with the foresight that someday you'd have a spooky ghost podcast.
Yeah, when I was 11.
It's never too young to start your spooky ghost podcast experience. With all that being said, we will see you on the inside.
You are now entering the realm of the freaky deaky, an unsuspecting stop at the crossroads of fantasy and reality, where the frayed edges of make-believe seep into this cookie-cutter white picket world you've been led to believe is far from extraordinary. What you're about to hear are true stories.
Alleged true stories.
Christian, just... okay? Tales of the strange and inexplicable thought only to exist in film and folklore. Although difficult to accept, we do not know everything about this reality, about time or space, what lies beneath the ocean's depths. And try though we might, the unchanging truth remains. There are some things we legitimately cannot explain logically.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. We're so glad that you could join us once again on this beautiful Thursday and or whatever day you're listening. I do this all the time. Sorry about that. If you're new to the show, we ask one thing of you, and that's to check it out in its entirety. If you're a fan of what you hear, you slap a 5-star review on that bad boy. Help us grow this thing out. We have been gaining a little bit of traction with a little bit of help from our friends. And you guys are our friends, and you're helping get the word out as well.
I get by with a little help from our friends.
That was the reference. And you can find us on social media at Freaky Deaky Pod. Submit your own personal experiences for freaky listener stories to the gang at thefreakydeaky.com. Join the Facebook group. Subscribe on YouTube. Comment on YouTube where you're listening from. Or if you have theories on the stories you're going to hear in this episode, send those as well. We love our YouTube audience. You guys are pretty great. And you're very good about adding to these stories that maybe Christian and I, we kind of glean over certain things, or we, our brains are fleeting at all moments of the day, so we don't cover everything. And there's been a few comments that we've gotten recently that I look at, I'm like, wow, that actually makes a lot of sense. And then I reach out to them personally and I say, hey, would you like to replace Christian on the show? Because I need a win. And they're like, sure, definitely. I'll be right there. So I'm still waiting on that to happen. But in the meantime,
hopefully you get the ones that, like in a recent one or a recent YouTube comment, somebody said I was right. I rejoiced.
You did rejoice. Yeah. For the first time in the show's history, someone has said that Christian was actually right. And I believe that was David.
Sounds right.
David or John? John David. I do this every time, and it's because I'm very forgetful, and I'm sorry about that. But you're a real G, and you have been along for the YouTube ride for quite some time, and we appreciate you, brother. Now, let's get into some wild and unexplainable accounts.
Can I ask a question?
No, I'm so glad you asked. The answer is no.
Would it be cruel to add like a whistling to the end of our intro What if people are listening at night out in the middle of nowhere and our intro whistles? Do you think they'll have experiences? Do you think they'll stop listening?
There's really only one way to find out.
I wish I could whistle right now.
You can.
I can't.
Oh, you can't whistle?
No, I've been drinking coffee. I can't whistle.
Can't whistle with coffee mouth?
No, like, I don't know what it is. Nah, man. What's really hilarious is that when my son was, playing hockey when he was a teenager, that's all the kids were saying, nah, man, in the locker room constantly.
That's a weird thing to just shout randomly.
I mean, I think that was just the time period a lot of people were saying it, and he was the right age. They said some other things, too, that I can't repeat because they were teenagers, of course.
Are you saying it's locker room talk?
Yes, not that kind of locker room. Not like Mike Babcock locker room talk or whatever.
That sounds like the worst named show in history. Mike Babcock locker room. Mike Babcock locker room talk.
If you guys know who that is, you know. If not, look him up. He's a coach,
if
or was a coach.
Bored out of your mind looking up hockey stuff, then by all means. Anyway, if I may get into this first story.
I apologize for my whatever the hell that was.
That is the theme of the show, unfortunately. This first story is called 4 Men Walk into a Bar.
Did they find a baby?
That would be 3 men.
Yeah.
Anyway.
This is a sequel.
The 4th man is the baby grown up.
Ooh. I bet you now that you said that, some executives like, we can do that.
Yeah. Weird name for a movie, just 4 men. But that's not why we're here.
What if the 4th man is taking care of all the old men that were in the original?
Ah, yes. The circle of life, of course.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Changing their diaper. I'm sorry.
You should be. Unacceptable. This doesn't exactly rise to an X-Files case, but I have no idea how I got home from a bar one night. I know what Christian's thinking.
Been there, done that.
Wow. I was living on my own and went out with some childhood friends and my brother. The next thing I remember was waking up in my childhood bedroom in my parents' house. My brother and friends were freaking out because they had no idea what happened to me. They didn't really understand what happened. They said I had 2, maybe 3 drinks that got me really drunk, then started making plans to leave when I disappeared. I drove to the bar that night, so they went outside to see if my car was still there, which it was. My parents said 4 guys they had never seen carried me to the door, then helped take me upstairs. My parents knew the people I was out with, including my brother. These were different people. About an hour after I woke up at my parents' house, I got a message from one of the bartenders there I was friendly with. She told me she thought I got drugged. She said I had like 2 or maybe 3 drinks when I suddenly looked like I was blackout drunk. The next thing she knew, 4 guys she didn't know were helping me out the door. The crazy part, though, was the bar and my apartment was a solid 45 minutes from my parents' house. I have no idea who the guys were, what, if anything, was given to me, why something would have been given to me, or how they even knew where my parents lived. I don't believe anything was stolen, nor was I injured in any way. My butt hurt. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, that's inappropriate. My mom said the guys who took me to the door were normal-looking guys about my age and perfectly polite to her. In the years since that's happened, nobody has said, bro, you were wasted that night, we took you home. Weird. So what are we thinking? Are we thinking 4 guardian angels lifting this man, driving him 45 minutes away? Before you answer, I know that's not what you're thinking, but what are you thinking?
Roofied?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. But it couldn't have been by these 4 guys.
Could have been.
And what? They roofie you and then they just drive you to your parents' house? He says nothing was taken, wasn't harmed in any way. His parents said they were perfectly polite, helped get him into bed. Like, this is like taking care of some dude that they have no idea who he is. That would be really strange, you know?
It really makes no sense to me.
It makes no sense to this guy who's sharing the story. And he's like, I have no idea what happened that night, but I wasn't hurt. I wasn't taken advantage of. These random 4 folks drove me 45 minutes away to my parents' house, put me to bed, and I was perfectly fine.
Maybe he now has an OnlyFans account he doesn't know about. Or he's appeared on somebody else's OnlyFans account.
You guys like unconscious bots? Again, weird. Very weird. So early in the episode.
I mean, you can't just have a guy at a bar getting drugged and then having 4 random guys take him home 45 minutes away.
I know, dude. There's a lot of questions to this, and that's why I'm anticipating several comments that maybe clear it up a bit more. Obviously, potential for him to be, roofied. Absolutely.
Maybe it wasn't a 45-minute drive for whoever took him. Maybe they just popped in their alien ship and zipped him home.
Sure.
Took off their Men in Black suits and put on their normal
run-of-the-mill
college age.
Yeah, dude bro outfits. We got our short shorts and our slippers.
Our BU sweater.
Crew neck, no doubt.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I read that and I'm like, well, he definitely could have been drugged. But the fact that
The fact that the bartender said he looked drugged makes me feel like he was drugged.
Yeah.
Because they would know.
2 to 3 drinks and you're blackout drunk. For someone that probably drinks, I don't know. That doesn't seem feasible. Unless you're drinking White Claws, of course. No, just kidding. Not a sponsor. Yeah.
Who would be a sponsor? That's like high school drink, that's the type of drink you drink in high school when you can't really handle regular liquor.
Well, actually, you don't drink anything in high school, Christian, and we're not going to put that on our listeners to start trying now. You degenerate. Wow. Unacceptable. But white bitches everywhere are rejoicing that we mentioned White Claw, so
you're definitely going to have to bleep something out of there.
White. People like, what did he say before that? Holy crap. You know what's really sad is I love the word bitches, but usually only in context when I'm talking to my bros. Wow.
I've used it in hockey many times.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
It's a great one.
It bothers guys when you call them that.
Yeah. But now it's like, it's such a taboo thing to say because people think you're exclusively referring to a female.
I'm always referring to a male.
Exactly. Same. And if I'm not, it's a female that I'm good friends with and we joke around. You know?
Yeah. I'm like, let me trigger you. I don't know why this works, but it's funny.
Yeah. Come at me, bitch. No.
And then they throw their
That'll be the new soundbite. Come at me, bitch.
Yeah. They throw their gloves and stick at me as I'm skating away.
Isn't that nice? Yeah, so anyway, I have 0 answers for that first story, as I will have for all of the stories included in this episode. So if you have an inkling, I know we got some geniuses out there in the audience, comment. Let's hear your thoughts. Personally, I've heard enough guardian angel stories, or like guardian spirits, if you don't want to get too religious with it, Christian. I see your butthole puckering over there. I don't know. It's believable. There's a lot of interesting guardian stories where it's like, out of nowhere, some random folks saved me.
I've heard it happen too. And Sure. People at a bar could do it.
People at a bar could do it. Why not? I see how you turn that around there, but it's fine. It's fine. Let's get into this next one, huh? It's called The Vanishing Toy Set, and it's by XQDizzleX. Nice. That dude definitely has a SoundCloud account at some point in his life. Anyway, so I was real young at this point when it happened. About 4 or 5. My mom and I stayed with this old couple in a large house. Needless to say, this place was either haunted or demon-possessed, but none of that matters now.
Demons exist.
You're absolutely right, Christian.
Also, Scott is always right.
Man, you were right twice in this episode. Isn't that nice? I was up one night playing with my toys. It was the Fisher-Price Peg People Animal Farm set, if anyone remembers. I probably should have put more space or less space between Peg People and Animal Farm set.
You what to people?
It's the Fisher-Price Peg People and Animal Farm set, if anyone remembers. So like the little people.
So it's like communist pegging.
Sure. Okay. Sure. Wow. This episode is already rated NC-17. Beautiful. When I noticed that everything suddenly stopped, lights, sound, wind, all that good stuff, and I watched as my entire playset slowly vanished from my eyes. For the longest time, my mom couldn't even remember that she bought that for me. That was until someone needed to get something from the attic, and there it was. Everyone in the house suddenly remembered as if the memory was just taken. That was one of 3 activities in my life. Man, you don't do very many activities in your life. That was one of 3. But
maybe they meant 3 paranormal.
That's probably what they meant. Well, I took it in a funny haha direction, but that's fine. People love when you explain jokes to them, Christian. Yeah, so this dude's playing with his peg set, his Peg People set, and right before his eyes, it just fades out.
You know what? The way that happened, it kind of gives me like Time Variance Authority vibes. Like they erased it because it was
pegging people. And they're like, this is inappropriate for a 5-year-old or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know, man. You know, it vaguely reminds me of, and there are no similarities. I don't know why I'm reminded of this, but Chris's story of the floating helicopter or whatever that floated across the room.
Yeah.
It's just weird, man. It's weird that something like that would happen. And then the idea that nobody even remembered it existed in the first place until someone found it. And then they're all like, oh, yeah. Like, what are the odds of that? How does something just disappear in front of you and then appear somewhere else?
How does it disappear in front of you, appear somewhere else? And the memory of that toy disappeared from people's mind for a while.
Yeah, it's like, is that a trickster thing?
Could be. Also could be parents are just exhausted, but I like the trickster angle better.
Yeah, I'm not sure if exhausted parents have the, David Blaine magic to make something vanish in front of their kids' eyes, though.
No, I'm talking about the memory part of it.
Yes, that checks out for sure. But God, that's going to eat me alive.
A toy caused a branched timeline and had to be erased, but only temporarily, so that makes no sense.
Well, it didn't make sense to begin with, but it's nice that you wanted to believe that.
Yeah, let's put the pegging toys up in the attic till he's an adult.
Yeah. There's a time and a place for that son.
Or she's an adult. I don't know.
There's a time and a place for that daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Again, folks, that's going to be the answer for everything here. But that's fine because we got people that actually, are a lot smarter than us in the audience. We've cultivated a really nice audience of folks that are okay with putting us in our place,
Yeah. Have you ever had a toy kind of disappear? Maybe not right before your eyes, but something where you're like, okay.
Definitely not right before my eyes, but
like some toys just never leave a certain room. So if it disappears, you're a little confused.
I mean, I've definitely had stuff go missing that was in a haunted house, but yeah, I think I've touched on that before. But I have had things like that I'll drop and then just seem like they disappear entirely. I mean, 9 times out of 10, or maybe even 10 times out of 10, it just has a weird bounce and goes somewhere completely just out of the norm that you're just scrounging around everywhere. Be like, where the fuck? And it usually happens with binkies. That's beside the point. Yeah, lost many a binky to a weird bounce, and that's fine.
Or the binky monster, one or the other.
I've heard it both ways. Anyway, this next one is fun. It's called Uncanny Valley Not Deer.
Not deer.
Not deer.
I like this already.
Yeah, I only named it that because of that's apparently a phenomenon, the not deer. Never heard that. I mean, I think Belieful touched on it a while ago, but
I went through a couple stories, searching for stories last night. I came across 2 or 3 not deer stories.
That's so weird. I wonder if that's going to be like the next Dogman thing, where Dogman takes up and then suddenly people are like, I saw a not deer.
You know why deer work better in this scenario than Dogman? Because these stories about deer have been around forever, including horned gods in the forest that kind of can change into deer.
Well, what do you think about the Island of Dog-Headed Men? That was a long-ass time ago.
That makes more sense than Dogman.
Well, it seems like we're saying the same thing to each other.
Not if you went out wolf hunting and took their head and decided to wear it like people used to do back in the day.
I don't think you have any idea what you're talking about, but that's fine.
You've never seen people wear the pelts of animals that still have a head attached to it?
The pelts, yes, that rests on top of their person head, yes. But not like a full mask that you put on that covers your head and makes it look like you have a dog head. There's a vast divide between those two.
There's a vast divide between you and me and Dogman.
That's true. And hey, for the record, I'm working on another Dogman episode.
That's fine. We can talk about Dogman.
And we will. The people need to know.
I'm just going to start calling Dogman Bigfoot and piss everybody off.
I think you've pissed everyone off already without doing that, but why don't you just call them werewolves?
That would be better than Dogman.
Well, that's what they are, right? I mean, like, I don't know why the term Dogman started coming around, but it's a werewolf. Just doesn't change it in the moonlight, okay? Is that, or maybe it does. Who knows, honestly? Maybe it's just a skinwalker. You guys ever think about that? Of course not.
Wendigo.
Yes, of course, Wendigos. Anyway, let's get into this not deer story because I can feel people hate typing on their keyboards right now.
We want to hear about the not deer.
Anyway, this is by Not the Men in Black. Likely story.
I see where we're going.
So it says, I saw something that looked vaguely similar to a deer in 2021. It fit perfectly into the uncanny valley for a creature that resembles something real, but very clearly is entirely foreign. It was really, really hairy. Oh yeah. Maybe 7 feet tall. Oh yeah. Quadruped. Ooh, yeah. That's the... I'm making this thing way too sexy. Hold on. Skinny legs? What? Forward-facing eyes. Could have had a short snout. I don't know. Didn't get the best look at it. If my memory serves me well, which Christian's going to say it doesn't, I'm cutting you off before you even think it.
I wouldn't say it doesn't. It's just not always reliable.
Okay, now we got that out of the way. If my memory serves me well, it looked like its feet were similar to human feet, in that they extended horizontally forward from their base at the back. Otherwise, I didn't get a good look at the feet, hooves, whatever. It's haunted the back of my mind ever since. Upon recalling the faint memory again, I remember it having some kind of antlers. Not very large, but I remember something sticking out of its head. Man, why don't we ever see cool shit in the woods, you know?
We don't go out in the woods.
Oh yeah, that usually That's usually the main indicator of possibly seeing something in the woods is actually going and stepping foot in the woods. We have not done that yet. But hey, like I said, once we get the ball rolling on everything and once, things take off a little more and we have some free time, if that ever happens, we should find some area that's nice and reclusive. Maybe do some filming back there. We can make parody documentaries to make fun of all the documentaries the paranormal folks are putting out.
We should do that in Portlock.
We should do that in Portlock, and I will be wildly dramatic in it.
I'll be knocking trees.
Hey, better trees than boots, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I honestly think it'd be hilarious to do a documentary in the style of, God, I wish I could remember what it's called, but it was like the funniest Bigfoot documentary or mockumentary I've ever seen. And it was called something along the lines of 10 facts about Bigfoot.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
The last one will change your life or something like that. But It was a hilarious movie. And I want to do that, but with reality set in as well. But that's not why you're here.
We could bring Morgan on and she could
be our guide in the forest.
Yep. She has reality TV experience.
That is true. And we have reality experience.
And she's probably way tougher than we are.
Well, that goes without saying, Christian. So now I just feel bad, okay? How dare you? This next one is actually pretty fascinating. It's a fascinating shadow person story, which I know what you're thinking. That's explainable, but I've never heard a shadow person story quite like this. So I was like, you know what? It's in. And you know why? Because I'm the captain of the ship, damn it.
Nah, man.
I am.
Also, Scott is always right.
You came around very quickly, Christian. Thank you.
I did that earlier according to your buttons. Mommy.
Anyway, it's called Shadow Man Terrorizes Neighborhood. That's by Psychological Page 62. A shadow man pulled me out of my bed by the ankle. He posed like Superman with his hands on his hips and chest out, then burst into a run from one side of my bedroom to the other. To say he wasn't expecting me to levitate out of bed and beat him there would be an understatement.
What?
Yep. He put his hands up and backed away slow and faded out. Yes, you read that right. I tried to throw hands with the shadow ghost demon thing, and he backed away like, chill, bro, chill. Mind fucking a half. I thought it was a dream, but the day before my ex showed up and looked like Linda Blair in Exorcist. She overdosed that night while I went to get coffee. She lived, but she left him, I'm 100% sure of it. Next day, after the Shadow Man incident, my mom and dad were fighting about the 80s. Mind you, this happened in 2023. Wow, what a time to be alive, huh? Just arguing about the 80s. I walk in.
Huey Lewis and the News were the best band there.
There you go. I walk in. They scream at me about high school. I start to fight back and realize I'm so fucking into it and high off of it.
This is a very dysfunctional family.
And a very strange story.
Yes.
This reminds me of another time this exact thing happened and my girlfriend said she felt a demon was in the room with us. Just when I go, quote, Shadow Man is a demon in my head, my mom screams, there's something evil in my fucking house, like a desperate scream. It scared the fuck out of me. We put Bibles everywhere, Jesus on repeat on TV. We literally came to the same conclusion without talking about it before, at the exact same moment. Either I transferred my thoughts to her brain, which is perfectly acceptable in my opinion, or we caught a demon. Next day, I hear screaming again. I think it's my parents. Nope, it's my neighbor, and she's throwing her husband's clothes out the front door right outside my window. Next week, I see cop lights outside my window. My neighbors further down are separated by cops in the front yard from DV. Cops have never been to my block that often. They were there 3 times that week for the OD and the 2 neighbor fights. This happened last year. It's more complicated than that, but that's the gist. So this guy is suggesting that his overdosed ex-girlfriend brought a demon or shadow person that stayed at the house after she left, which I had an experience like that in Vegas, which I've talked about too many times at this point. But so I believe that's entirely possible. But the fact that this thing was not only at their house and causing chaos in their house, but his thing was that it was going to his neighbor's house and doing the same thing, and even going to a neighbor's further down. And so it's almost like it took this whole neighborhood and just erupted it into chaos.
If I was writing a scary movie, this would be a good place to start.
Mm-hmm.
But also, the simple explanation could be that he's just seeing patterns where there's not really pattern.
You remember that one story, and I can't remember if it was Sleep with the Lights On or it was, because the one that I was like, I know we're going to argue about this, and we did, but it's the same. The cop, that dispatcher cop or whatever, was noticing patterns of just activity in one area, and then it'd be like criminal activity would stop there, and it would all start up in a different neighborhood. Didn't matter the economic situation, anything like that, the socioeconomic situation, I should say, or any of that. But he was just like, I noticed that it was like almost like a shifting wave of criminal activity would just go from this place to this place to this place. And he's like, and I noticed that in all my 16 years on the force, wherever I went, the same thing would happen. And it's almost like we're getting a different perspective of that same situation, but from a firsthand account of someone that experienced it in his own neighborhood.
I mean, those kind of things, you see it. It's like, especially with crime, you'll see like a crime wave hit a certain area and it'll just come out of the blue and then stop out of the blue.
Which is, what does that tell us? Is it?
Yeah, I mean, it could be supernatural, but it could also just be other things. And also, like right now, the last couple months going into next month, we've had a bunch of weird astrological type things going on, like meteors, eclipses. Sure. We have 7 planets, I think it is, aligning next month.
Ooh.
So maybe, there's people out there that believe that those type of things influence us here. Maybe that's the type of thing going on. There's certain alignments that affect certain areas differently, and everybody loses their mind a little bit for whatever reason. Could it be some girl was ODing and left her demon behind? Because demon's like, I'm tired of your drugged out ass. I'm going to go find me a regular person that's productive so I can, destroy the lives of actual productive people that mean something to society. I mean, not that this girl didn't mean anything, but what? Demons exist.
Yeah, I'm saying, okay, let's take a shocking look at this and I know you're saying, oh, maybe the stars align. No, fuck all that. It's not astrology. All right, it's cut and dry, very simple situation.
Ghosts and demons are real, but not astrology.
Yeah, actually, it's that simple. Sure. No, but it is fascinating that, this dude witnesses this shadow person, and it almost has like kind of a jokey vibe to it. Well, it's there. It feels like a trickster in nature where it's just like, whoa, dude, sorry, just fucking around. And like dashes off, does a Superman pose after pulling this dude out of bed. It's a really weird thing to do. Like, is this a weird trickster who's just like, hey, I'm just going to go cause, havoc wherever I go? Or was it something that's like more a spiritual thing where you have this oppression on your neighborhood from an entity or from something that happened there that maybe takes a little longer to dispel? Maybe it does shift. Maybe it goes from house to house. I don't know. But the fact that him saying that him and his mom realized at the same time there are plenty of things out there saying that you can transfer thoughts, that there is like a weird net that we all kind of attack to, right? Like we're just like, this is humanity, right? I know there's several times like I'll be talking to China or something. I'll be thinking about something. And then like 30 seconds later, she'll say the exact thing I was thinking about. Like it just popped into her mind, which is super strange in itself, but that is an explanation for how they could both come to the evil conclusion at the same time. But it is wild, man. Even if that was true, like that's even weirder than there being a demon in the house, the fact that two people can just have the exact same thought and be like, there's evil here. There's something evil here.
Why does everybody always think it's a demon? This one didn't sound like a demon to me. Sounded like somebody, like the Superman pose was just his triumph over getting out of a body, or its triumph over getting out of a body that it can't really do demon stuff with because she's stoned out of her mind all the time. So he was posing because he got out, and then all of a sudden he's in a room with somebody who wanted to throw hands. He's like, oh, another druggie. So then he goes to the neighbor.
Who are we? Are we saying that you're saying that this is the shadow person?
Yeah, he was just excited to get out of that body
or something like that.
Well, I'm saying this was a demon possessing the girl. Got out of her body all excited.
Was it a girl?
Or whoever, the friend.
The person, yes.
Yeah. And then this other person saw it and that starts acting crazy. He's like, oh, another one. Let me get out of here. And he went to the neighbors and they freaked out. Like, we always make these things out to be demonic or evil.
Well, it's because what's the alternative?
Well, I think there's plenty of alternatives. It's just something else.
Yeah, just name one that is specifically more likely than just...
An interdimensional traveler that just ended up on our plane, like that one, that ghost we always bring up, that where this person saw a ghost, was shocked, the ghost saw them, was shocked, and disappeared.
I have a whole episode coming out on those, actually. So you need to brush up on your time as a flat circle information.
Gotcha.
So you can give like a rundown of that before, because they're all just short little stories. But yeah, I think, well, people feel evil. It's something that, look, if you're in a situation, I've had plenty of experiences with the other side or the spiritual side or whatever that didn't shake me. That it wasn't evil. It was something where I was just like, this is really fascinating and weird. And I wasn't concerned. But I've also had things where I'm like, that's evil right there. And I instinctively know that I need to get out of the situation.
I've been in a couple situations where I feel somebody might, you know, that look in their eye, you're like, oh, serial killer.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really like, if we're people that trust our intuition, trust our gut, or as me, being the spiritual person that I am, believe that it's wisdom from above telling me, get out of this, you know.
I think sometimes that's the case, and, and you should listen to that. I mean, people talk, predators talk about that look they see in their victim's eyes, where they know, but they're trying to be too polite. But I mean, it always bothers me that every little unexplainable thing becomes evil. But we'll skip past that because we talk about that kind of stuff all the time. Yes. What's fascinating about this story, and that I've seen in other instances, is the weird little crime wave going on that we were talking about earlier. That's what's fascinating. That's what I want to know. What causes that? Whether it's supernatural or just like a mental, psychic type of thing. Who knows what it could be, but that's fascinating to me because you do see that happen. And you can read through historically and see certain towns or parts of towns have these weird outbursts of violence and crime for no reason. And it never had it before. And then it just stops without any real intervention because it started up quickly and stopped quickly before the police or authorities could figure out what the hell's going on. And it moves on maybe to the next town or the next state or country. Who knows?
And I think like it really depends. Your thoughts on it really depend on your personal beliefs on everything. So you can get varying degrees of different possibilities for these types of things happening. But for me, as someone that, you know, obviously was raised in the church and has since abandoned the church and just had more of a personal relationship.
Good job.
Thank you. Yes. But
everybody should abandon the church.
Wow. Not where I was heading with that, but I feel like there's correlating stories in the Bible itself that talk about evil spirits being sent out, right? And you can say not evil, whatever you want to feel on that. But as someone that, once again, has experienced what I feel is evil and what I feel is not evil, I feel like that's a good enough reason for me to say, you have a sense of what is right and what is wrong. And when you come across it, you know, regardless of what you do in that situation, you know, in your heart, you know.
I think you do know, but I also think we make too many things evil that are just things or experiences. It's not just church people. It's just, I think it's a human trait, and we make everything evil. And now, you know, somebody that believes in a different politician is evil, and that's all I'll say on that.
People take it.
It's just we make everything too evil. It's too easy of a word. Yeah, and maybe we need to come up with a better word, and not even demonic. I mean, if you've been raised,
there goes my other word. Damn it!
I mean, if you've been raised in church around religion, it's really easy for all these supernatural things to be evil, but that's not the case. I mean, there's evil in the world. It's just there's not as much of it as we think there is.
You don't even believe in evil. You can't believe in evil.
I do believe it.
But you're not allowed to.
Why? Because it's only a religious thing?
Yeah.
It is not.
Because if there's evil, then there's got to be an opposite to that.
No, it doesn't have to. Evil is evil.
Evil is like the moral standard, right? The moral standard is what we base good and evil off of. And the moral standard
it doesn't have to be a religious thing.
But it comes from religion.
But
that's where it's based.
Evil was around before any of the religions we follow now.
Evil was not around before the fall of man. That is where evil originates. Okay, and that's where speculation. Obviously.
That's where a certain group of people say it originates, but another group of people will tell you it's been around since men walked out of the forest and started walking on the ground.
But if men walked out of the forest, then
I guess it would be jungles.
Yeah, we don't. Okay, look, I don't look at, let's say, a lion that kills and eats a gazelle as evil. Because that's nature and that's natural. And if we are all nature and natural and there's nothing special about us outside of, you know.
What about that one lion that started killing, I think it was in India, just started randomly killing people to where they had to bring in like...
It's not evil either. It's in their nature.
Is it?
Yeah.
Lions, it's not in the lion's nature to kill people
It's
randomly.
in a lion's nature to hunt and to kill in general.
This
so it doesn't matter if it's people,
This
animals,
was a different
whatever.
one, though. This lion did some weird... He did not act like a regular lion. That's why it was so crazy.
Sure.
And I remember they made a movie out of it years later.
And you can try to sideline this as much as you like.
I just think religious people do not have a trademark on evil. Evil is evil.
Actually.
No.
We do.
Okay.
100% we do.
Then we'll just call, from my perspective,
yes,
a really bad person that does the same thing as an evil person would do.
But why can't it just be there? It's just human nature. If it's all evolution and people
I've always say it's human nature. People are like, oh, it's a monster, it's a demon. No, it's a human. It's always a human.
But if what they're doing is what we call wrong, why is it wrong if it's human nature? Why is it wrong to murder someone? Why is it wrong to do any of this shit? If it's just human nature and we're just natural folks doing natural folks things, then nothing is wrong and nothing is right.
No, that's not. The community decides what's wrong.
But see, the community doesn't get a choice in that. If it's all natural evolution, we're all just random people, then there's no right or wrong. It's you live your life, and if you kill someone, fine, there's nothing wrong with that. And if you want to do other stuff, fine, there's nothing wrong with that. It's when you implement the moral code.
Who's
of right
sidelining who now? You sound like you're sidelining.
No, I'm just getting to the end of my point, man. Like you do this weird thing where you cut me off halfway, tell a weird story to get me off track, and then
I'm not attempting to get you off track. That's not my goal. I don't do
evil,
that,
Christian.
That would be.
That is evil. No, and people are like, guys, do you understand what this episode is about?
I don't even remember what the story is about now.
I know. It's about a shadow person that terrorizes, an evil shadow person that terrorizes a neighborhood.
I can't believe we're arguing over the definition. Who gets to control evil?
Well,
all right, fine. Christians can tell me what is evil like they already do. Also, Scott is always right. You know, next thing you're gonna want me to define evil based on what politicians and the TV says.
Oh, well, we know all that is evil. So there's really no discussion there. But what would actually blow up more than anything is if we had a religion podcast where we just argue constantly, because that seems to be what people actually really enjoy is people. So maybe our listeners are evil. I don't know. Or actually, there's probably a handful of people that stopped listening already because they're like, oh, one of these again. Cool. But that's all beside the point. This next one is not about evil, but we'll take it there if we want. It's called Some Next Level Final Destination Death.
Ooh. I haven't even watched any of those movies, but I get that, like, when I see the memes about it, I'm like, yeah, that bothers me. But it bothered me before the movie, so I get it.
Literally, anytime I'm behind a log truck now, I'm like, please, not today.
Yeah, I've never seen any of those movies, but I know that one.
I think I started on the third one. I was such a weird, teenager. I'd be like, oh, the new one came out. Like, did you watch the other two? No. But it doesn't matter.
Well, teenagers rebel. I'll do it in my own order.
That's right.
But it'll make no sense. It will to me because I'm a teenager.
I make the sense that I want, all right?
You know, one of the fun things about being a teenager is just, it's entertaining to look back on the way I thought and be like, ooh.
Like, wow, what a dumbass.
I did what I was supposed to. I mean, that's what teenagers do, but it's funny.
That's social media memories in like a nutshell. Every single one that pops up, doesn't matter if it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that same thought goes through my mind. Like, why the fuck did you say that?
Yeah, I do that too.
Are you stupid, man? Are you actually stupid? I'm looking in a mirror when I'm doing it. I'm like, are you actually mental?
Be careful, man. I was reading about portals and mirrors last night.
Yeah, now we're getting to the good stuff. Anyway, this is by Always Sensational. Got him.
That's sounds like me.
Yeah, well, that does check out, Christian, you dirty heathen. But it's fine. About a year and a half ago, my mom, dad, sister, and I were on the way back home from a day trip to Wichita. Weird choice. We had gone to Sam's Club or Target or somewhere to do some shopping. Wow, great information. And for a split second, we died.
What?
Exactly. I'm getting goosebumps writing this and remembering, but we died on the way back home. This person driving a black sports car was weaving in traffic and clipped the back of the semi adjacent to us, causing the semi to swerve and smash into us. We spun into the median and crashed into the overpass bridge. I remember being impaled by metal debris from one of the vehicles and seeing my dead body. As quickly as it all happened, we were back and the black sports car missed the semi and all was well.
Whoa.
Yeah, not gonna lie, it still freaks me out to think about it. That is weird, dude. Oh God, that gives me the heebie-jeebies.
That is weird.
Like that
more than likely explainable, but also still weird.
Yeah, was it just like a daydream, like a random, like fleeting daydream? That
I mean, that's okay. We talk about it all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only thing that makes sense in that. You experienced it. You slipped into your other self in another place and experienced it, and then whoever makes those decisions, like, oh shit, he's in the wrong place. Put him back.
Yeah, I think that was actually mentioned in the comments on that, though, was someone saying that it's entirely possible that you just hopped into a different timeline at that moment. Or there's some theory out there, and I haven't looked into it, so I'm the worst person to bring it up. But and someone can probably clarify for us if they know what this theory is. But it's essentially that we never actually die, and that when we die in one timeline, we just go into the next.
That still feels flat circle-ish.
Yeah, I just don't remember what the term was called.
I've heard that before.
But it's creepy to think about, especially if it's like the exact same moment. You know, like you just pick up from the same moment you died, like nothing happened in the next timeline. I don't know, man. Every time I try to think about that stuff, my brain hurts. So that doesn't take much, but in general.
Let me ask you this. So if, the multiverse is kind of a thing and you can time hop, one of the things that makes sense is, to me, and it's based on the way we think, the way we experience life, weird things that happen with our mind and our brain.
Sure.
What if we're always in those other timelines too? Like, our consciousness is connected on all these levels. So while we're sitting here talking about this episode, in another timeline, a semi is getting clipped and coming at us, but we're experiencing it all at the same time. And that could explain like why we have trouble with certain things, because our mind is kind of, I don't know what the word would be, but
overwhelmed.
Yeah. Overwhelmed because it's handling so much at one time, which feels like real being an adult, but half the stuff we're all stressed out about as adults don't really affect us as much as the stress affects us.
Sure.
And maybe one of the reasons we struggle, or people see shadow people or whatever, is because we're seeing that in a different reality.
Yeah.
And it's slipping into our conscious in this one. Because it makes sense to me that our conscious is something that's completely unexplainable. Even if you go with a religious aspect, we still don't understand it. You can say, oh, this is just part of, God's plan, but we still don't understand how that works.
Drake reference.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't want to make any of those right now, man. Is he still alive?
Well, there you go.
As of this recording, he is, as far as we know.
Yeah, hopefully he lasts another few weeks. But okay, so if it is timelines and stuff like that, the real question is that how it's always been? Or is that something that, we get the fun conspiracy where it's like we're splitting stuff? You talk about CERN and all these other things, like all these crazy experiments that go on. Have we accidentally created alternate timelines? And this is a more recent phenomenon that we're experiencing.
I don't feel like it is, because I'm a nerd and I like history, and a lot of the things that we talk about, we've found deep in history. So it's not a recent thing. This has always been a thing. Maybe it's on another level because of, aspects in the universe or things that us humans do. But it feels like part of this has always been around. A lot of these experiences have always happened. And we have some writings from ancient times about certain stories that are similar to the ones we talk about on our show.
Well, it sounds like you need to find some of these ancient time stories and create an episode out of that, because I don't think I've ever heard that.
Love to. The problem is, though, and I don't know if I was talking to you about this or somebody else, but like ancient stories are all about the rich people, basically. We don't get the peasant stories because they weren't reading and writing. They didn't, in most cases. So we only get like the royal scribes theories, or
that works too. Whatever.
The historians of the time, like Herodotus and stuff like that. So it's hard to find those kind of stories. I wish if I could go back in time, I'd be like
asking everyone.
I'd put in my like in Silence of the Lambs, when they put that mentholatum or whatever under their nose before they have to deal with a dead body, I'd put that on and I'd travel back and talk to the regular people.
There you go.
I'd do that because everybody stunk back then.
Yeah, very judgmental of you.
You can read the stories about London in the 1800s.
Well, nobody wants to do that because it's gross.
Yeah.
Very gross. But with that, let's get into some of these jumper stories, as I call them.
We're going off buildings? Do we need to do
We can only hope.
What is that?
It's a trigger warning.
Yes.
And no, we don't. So this next one is called Yes, of course, Space Jam Magic. And it's by Universal
Did you
Neuron.
say Space Jam?
I did. I did. Because I mean, I'm sorry to bring up a reference of a well-known degenerate pervert. And no, I'm not talking about Christian this time. I'm talking about R. Kelly, who believes he could fly. And if you get that reference, then we move on to the story itself.
Yeah, I believe I can touch.
There you go. There you go. And he did. He touched more than that.
He touched something.
Yep. That is very true. Look at that.
Something golden.
Okay. Moving right along. This is by Universal Neuron. And it says
allegedly.
Allegedly. It's an alleged universal neuron.
No, the other story. Just throw
that's pretty.
We just say allegedly just to protect us. You know, lawyers can't trust them.
Yeah, you know, lawyers listening to Spooky Ghost podcasts. Anyway, it says one time in 5th grade, I jumped for no apparent reason. I was alone in the school hallway on my way to the bathroom, not even running, and I jumped as high as I could, eyes directly forward. I still remember thinking, okay, any day now, I'm ready to fall back down to earth. Okay, this is getting weird. And then finally landing, what felt like nearly 5 minutes later, after having a whole long and involved internal dialogue with myself about it, not worried, more curious and intrigued, and stopping dead in my tracks like, what the hell was that about? How long was I up there? What was I doing? Walking to the bathroom, I guess. Better get back to class. I'm sure I've been gone for a while. Sometimes to this day, when I'm alone, I jump. It has never happened again, except for maybe during those I'm about to die, life flashing before my eyes moments, near accidents, fights, good save, etc.
What the hell is this guy's life about if he's going through that many things?
I'm like, near death, fighting, saving stuff. I don't know. I feel like I would.
This person needs to find Jesus. Maybe life would be a little bit simpler.
Yes, of course. And it is. Sometimes for people to do it right, not necessarily for myself. I feel like I have a superpower that I can't figure out how to use. Otherwise, I've had striking deja vu, like, no, that definitely already happened, but nothing like what was mentioned previously. I've had striking deja vu too, and I think it's actually called like deja vu or something like that, where it's experienced before. And so it's not just like seeing something that you remember seeing before. It's like every tilt of my head, everywhere that my eyes looked in the exact same order that I remember it happening. It's happening right before me. And those are always freaky.
Deja vu is kind of easy to explain if we reference our discussion at the end of the previous story, where it
went everywhere,
where you're just time hopping, or
maybe.
I don't know if time hopping is the right word, but I think everybody, you're experiencing things that the other you experience.
Yeah, I think the scientific explanation for it is that it's our eyes are experiencing or recording happening like one fraction of a second or millisecond before the other eye does. And so it's hitting your brain before the other eye hits your brain. So it makes your brain think, oh, I've seen this before, when really it's just happening like millisecond before I don't know.
Which in itself is crazy that your brain's working. We already know it works quickly on that level, but it's just crazy when you actually realize all the work your brain's doing without your input.
Mm-hmm. I got caught up. I smoked a little too much last night, and I got caught up on the fact that I just breathe automatically. Have you ever done that?
That's the reptilian part of your brain.
Okay, enough with that shit. But like, where you're just sitting there, you could be doing something, and you're like, I'm breathing right now. Isn't that strange? It's like, I don't even have to do anything. I'm just breathing. It's just making air come in and out.
That's the most ancient part of our brain, is where the breathing and heartbeat and all that stuff comes from.
I think you're a little confused.
No,
so
I'm not
maybe you're not getting enough of that oxygen.
Do you remember our story about, I think it was a week or two, it was a video. I think we were talking about my chicken with the head cut off experience.
Yes, of course, ghost chickens.
And how that one chicken that got its head cut off lived for a while after that, because that part of the brain that makes its heart beat and it breathe was still working, just not the rest of it.
Sure. But so that happens with anything.
I don't even remember what we were talking about. I lost where we were going, but I still think something like this feels, well, the deja vu part. The other part, the jumping, kind of feels like astral projection, which is weird if this person was awake.
Yeah. And for 5 minutes, he said, roughly it's an estimate, clearly, but jumping for 5 minutes, and he said he was looking around, stuff like, but if it was astral projection, wouldn't he look down at it and see his own body standing there?
I never saw my own body. But I was pretty far from where my body would have been when I astral projected. I was like a couple miles away.
You jumped a couple miles?
I don't know how I got to this park. The park is where I started jumping. It was a park I spent a lot of time at in Claremont, California. Couple miles up the road from where I lived.
Yeah.
And
I said, fuck it, I'm jumping.
I did. Well, once you jump, at least in this case, and felt that experience, because it was kind of exhilarating in a way.
It was.
It wasn't scary because I was moving. Like when I came back down, it felt controlled.
Yeah.
And especially at the age I was at, that's a weird type of dream to have, because I don't think I had any kind of experience like that. I didn't go on roller coasters because I was terrified of them back then.
Same.
So I didn't have those kind of experiences. So I don't know how to explain it, but that's one of those things that seems possible to me, not just because I experienced it, but I feel like there's more to us than just our brain.
Well, let's see if this next jump experience can maybe bring it home for us, huh? This is by Spooky Popcorn Maker. Weird, people. Weird.
Yeah.
I used to get these long jumping moments too when I was in elementary school, and everything would move in super slow motion. And it'd always feel like I'd been hanging up there for a while. I don't get them anymore except for those life flashing moments like the previous one said. I also get striking deja vu. It's so intense and has been happening for so long. Even now, it's quite distinct from those jumping moments when I lucid dream them way back. And then I don't remember them until as they're happening in the moment. I'm like, oh, I definitely do remember seeing that. The true nature of this didn't hit me until I was in around 5th grade when I started to realize that all of what I see in those dreams come to reality at some point in time. And because of that, I've seen quite a bit of unfortunate incidents come to life, and I couldn't do anything but stand helplessly and watch them unfold ever so slow before my eyes. I'm scared that something very horrible I may have dreamed of would come to pass, like I've seen my dad get into an accident in my dream, and that terrifies me. I never actually had any dream that I remember happen in real life, so maybe this may just never happen, but there's no telling for sure. That is interesting, the dream aspect of that too, because I had a dream that I forget what it was, like my brother I was probably like 10 or no, maybe like 13 or 14. And I had dreamed that my brother got into a car accident and passed away. And it was like one of those like super real dreams that you have where it, like when I woke up, I was genuinely scared. And then he did get into a car accident. He survived. But because of that dream in my head, for whatever reason, there was this weird floating feeling that he was going to die by age 30. And it was like the strangest thing. I couldn't put my finger on it. He survived the car accident, but in my heart, I just knew, I was like, he's going to die by 30. And wouldn't you know it, he died at 30. And that's always been such a weird thing to hold on to, like to look back on, like didn't have anything to do with the car accident. But the fact that that part was in my head, like for 6-7 years until it happened, it's always just stuck with me in a weird way where I'm like, what the fuck was that?
This is also, and this will sound kind of flip, but this is something that could be explained by time as a flat circle.
Well,
you were able to see it because it's happening at the same time as your experience right now, because it's always happening. And once it's over with, you'll just restart at the beginning of that circle, wherever the beginning is.
Well, let's hope the beginning is better than right now.
It is what you make of it.
It is weird how many people have like those dream experiences and stuff like that.
Oh, you know, the thing that made me kind of caught my attention was that both of them, like, life flashed before your eyes.
I know,
like, am I like weird that I don't experience that?
Have I
ever?
never had that? Yeah.
Is that the normal anxiety level that most people have? Because I don't have that normal anxiety level that people have.
Yeah, you have
I
like
know that.
Serial killer anxiety levels of like very low. No.
I think they appear that way. I think their anxiety levels probably skyrocketing. That's why part of the reason they act the way they do. But I feel like even if a car is like doing something weird coming at me, I'm like, I don't see my whole life flashing before me. I've been in accidents.
Yeah.
You know,
not fun, not good times.
Yeah. So it's just, it jumped out at me that both people said that.
It jumped out of you, did it?
Yeah.
Well, that's just the segue I needed into this third jumping story from Low Agency 8555. And I'm probably going to go directly into the fourth one as well after.
Okay. I'll shut up.
Just so we can close this. Yeah, so this is the low agency 8555 says, I have my own story of this. I think I remember a time where I was like 4 or 5, and I have a faint memory of me in the kitchen of my old house with my parents around, and I remember jumping and staying in the air for a long time, like 2 minutes. It was like I was floating and there was zero gravity. The only thing that stopped me from going up was the ceiling. I'm 18 now, and to this day I think to myself, was that some sort of toy I had? Am I remembering a vivid dream I had when I was 4 or 5? Because how would that be possible? That's a memory I thought was unique to me. So thank you to everyone else for sharing theirs. And then this fourth one is from G Soul 7. It says, you just unlocked a memory for me. I did the same thing. Maybe it's coincidence, but I remember a period in my childhood, probably between 10 and 14, where I had irregular thoughts that I was running and jumping and then almost flying for a period. I could do it at will. I think I passed it off as just dreams, but I remember it feeling so real to the point where I know the feeling in my legs from the initial push off the ground to get in the air. I think like you, I tried to jump again on occasion. Maybe it was just astral projection without me realizing. Just very interesting that many people have reported the exact same sensation and feeling. Man, that is just bonkers to me. I wish I had one of those stories. I don't know. Maybe I do. Maybe I just forgot it, you know?
I thought everybody had stuff like that.
No, I had weirder stuff, unfortunately. I mean, all this time I thought you were bizarre for having yours, and then turns out I find all these other ones. I'm like, damn, maybe this is more common than I thought it was.
Kids can do magic.
Kids can do magic. You heard it here first.
We just beat it out of them.
Wow.
Well, hopefully not as much anymore as we did back in the 70s.
Unless they deserve it, of course.
We do not condone that type of parenting.
Yes, of course, that type of parenting.
But also, if your friends deserve it, smack them.
Yeah, there you go.
They'll understand. They're your friends.
Sure, why not?
You know, it's funny, too, is that many years ago, I had to stop sleeping on my back because this was happening to me every time I slept on my back. Now I can't sleep on my back.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you tried?
Yeah.
Or you just conditioned yourself to not do it?
Yeah, I cannot, I'll try to lay there. I can, when I meditate, I can do it. But if I get to the point where it's time to almost fall asleep, I have to roll over. And I would love to have those kind of dreams again.
I'm saying
especially
maybe just
now.
give it a shot.
I try. I'm going to get it someday, and then we're going to talk about it.
Just sit, even when you feel like I can't fall asleep, just keep going. Just be like, no, I will fall asleep like this. But you've never had sleep paralysis, right?
I mean, I've had sleep paralysis, but I don't open my eyes.
Yeah.
And I'm like that, so I don't see anything.
Yeah, I think I've probably experienced it a couple times doing the same thing where it's like, I know I'm awake, but I just don't open my eyes.
Yeah, I just know. That's why I don't see crazy stuff. I know better.
I think there's a lot of correlation with sleeping on your back and getting sleep paralysis. So it's interesting that it also has like that astral projection kind of vibe to it too, you know?
And I bet you there's people out there that can do it without sleeping on their back. I just remember when I was a kid, I'd sleep on my back, and these were the types of dreams I'd have. And the problem was the dreams were fine. It was coming back into the body that was stressful. Yeah. Like I remember waking up bouncing, and people, and the experts say it's just your muscles tightening, which makes sense. But also, as you can tell from these stories, it's a very unique experience. And maybe the brain can make it up for you. Maybe it's just a dream. Yeah. But also there's certain things I believe that I'm not quite as skeptical about, and this is one of them.
You hear that, folks? There's at least more than one thing that he's not very skeptical of, and it's astral projection. Astral projection, probably, like we were talking about earlier, is being able to maybe see another timeline at times, stuff like that. Yeah, it's possible. Not quite sure I believe in free will, but that's another episode. Ha 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 ha. Yes, it is another episode. Christian was trying to get me into yet another tangent. It's not happening this time because it's time to close her out. It's closing time. Closing time. You don't have to go home, but you do have to take your headphones out, turns out. What if they're in the car? What are your headphones doing on in the car, you weirdo? I wear mine in the car. Huh? I wear mine in the car sometimes. You do know that you have Bluetooth. It's 2024 out there? It is a Ford, huh? Yeah. The sync system. Oh, it drives me. Replace that fuse. I got several fuses, man, just because that happens probably like 2 or 3 times a year. Yeah, it's so annoying. It's the worst. I mean, that is why I might never buy another Ford. It's better now. This car is a few years old, but yeah. I'm like, it is not hard to hook up I can hook up my headphones to my TV Mm-hmm.
All I have to do is put them in my ears, and it's like, do you want to connect it to the TV? I hit a button.
I'm sensing headphones are near. Would you like?
Yeah.
Yeah. The sync system is like the worst audio system of all the vehicles out there. And it was the one giant stain on the car that I bought before I came up here.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else was perfect. People were like, hey, just be aware that sync system gets really funky. And turns out it's for all Fords, which sucks because I really wanted to get one of the new Broncos at some point. And now I'm like reconsidering because I'm like, do I want to break my back to get to this fuse box?
I don't think it's the same anymore. I think they fixed it.
They better have, because your boy is going to come into money at some point in his life.
But it's super annoying. It's like, all I want to do is listen to a podcast on the way to work or on the way to come over here. And it's just really annoying. I have to hook it up. I don't know where we got to this, but in another timeline,
we were talking about the episode.
My Bluetooth works.
Yeah, and it must be great. I'm sure it's great. But that's beside the point. Do you guys have Ford sync systems? Do they suck as well? Comment below. And if you don't have a Ford, then comment below your favorite story from the episode, where you're listening from. If you absolutely can't stand the religious tangents that we take things in from time to time, and if you can't stand that, then guess what? You have the option to turn it off, my friend. That is free will, which Christian doesn't believe in. But
I'm not sure I believe in it.
He's not sure, and that's
I'm still looking into it. It's kind of troubling.
It is very troubling, yes. But what isn't troubling? You know, we live in very weird times. And that's why this podcast brings great relief and joy and happiness to many people in the world, I guess. Maybe not all over. Well, you know what? We're getting off the topic at this point.
A decent amount of people.
There's a decent amount of people who enjoy this, and that's fine. And maybe those decent amount of people will tell their friends about this show, and then more decent amount of people will come. And that's how growth happens, people. That's how growth happens.
Yeah, and for those of you that have told your friends, keep that shit up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. And also, don't forget that
demons exist.
Yep. That's what I was going to say, Christian.
Come at me, bro.
Anyway.
That's what my demons say.
That is what they say.
Is my boyfriend a demon?
Not now. Anyway, that's all I got. People, follow us on social media at Freaky Deaky Pod. Tell your friends. Send in your stories to the gang at thefreakydeaky.com. Join the Facebook group if you want to be around like-minded weirdos that just want to spread a little joy, you know? It's a good time. We're all laughing, having a great time talking about weird stuff. And if that's you, then come on in. You know where to find it. In the show notes. Click it. Click it right now. Do it. It's over.
Click it or ticket.
Click it or ticket. We'll give you a ticket for not joining the Facebook group. You didn't think that was coming? Haha. We have the cards. We're the captains.
You really want to be a captain. You should just get that on your soundboard.
I'm the captain now. No, yeah.
Because it sounds better with the African accent.
Okay. Well, I didn't watch that stupid movie.
Or was it well, I mean, Somali. I guess we should sound Somali.
Okay. Anyway.
But I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Somalia is in Africa, so.
So, now that you guys are aware of geographical locations of Somalia and the like, goodbye. Closing.